and welcome to Twin Souls. Now let's get to the soul of the matter. Well, hello, you are in the right place, and the right place is Twin Souls. Welcome back to our show. I am your host, Angela. You know, they say I talk too much, but I only talk about what heals your soul. So thank you for joining us. I have a special guest here with me today, and we have some special topics that we're going to be discussing that is very important. You know, we always talk about relationships, and today we're going to start with dating relationships, and we're going to give you some good tools and resources and some suggestions that will help you, and hopefully you'll take all of these lessons and techniques, take a look at your relationships and see where you can apply those techniques, and we hope that it will help you, and I hope that you will share it with someone else. And speaking of sharing, please don't forget to click like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is Twin Souls. You can also catch us on our Facebook page, which is Twin Souls, Angela and Kenya. So just remember to stay tuned to us. We're building relationships. You're my friend, I'm your friend, and I want you to just continue to help us to support our YouTube channel and just stay connected with us. So I'm going to allow my guest to introduce herself, and she's right over here, and we're going to welcome her today. Thank you for joining us. So why don't you tell them who you are and how you know me?
My name is Marquette Johnson. I am 24 years old, and I met Miss Angela basically through the family while working at my job. I am a customer service representative. I work in sales at the YMCA, and so pretty much we just do charity work and help the community, feed the homeless, and we just try to be out there and bettering the community as well as encouraging others to help others.
Amen. Well, thank you for that. So, Marquette, you are in a relationship right now, and you surprised me because usually the generation around your age, the relationships don't really last that long. Give or take maybe a year, if that, or less. So you must be doing something right.
I try.
Because she shared with us and said it's 4 years, so that's a good thing. And so I do want to hear some things from you, but first I wanted to ask you some more questions about who you are, where you're from, because you told us where you were, but you are also in school, in college?
Yes, I am a senior in college, majoring in psychology at the moment.
Why did you choose psychology?
I personally like to help people. I like to be a listening ear for people's problems, and I like to try to help them find solutions if I can.
Great. Are you a talker like me? Usually psychologists are talkers, so they always say I talk too much, but I really did not realize that I did until my sister said that, and so I use that when I come on the show. They say I talk too much, and I guess I do have so much that I would like to share, and usually in that field you want to help people, like you said. So again, are you a talker like me?
I am a talker. I am a very big talker, but I did learn that sometimes you can't always talk. You have to just listen.
I think I do pretty good with that.
I think you do
I think I love to listen because I can hear what's going on and to best help that person. So I think I'd go both ways. I'm a good listener and definitely a good talker. So let's get to the soul of the matter.
Okay.
So we're here to ask you some questions. We want to hear from you, your experience. We want you to help us, and I'm sure I probably can get some insight from you. It doesn't matter what age you are. I feel like we all can, learn from each other, and especially the new generation. Y'all do things a little bit different than we did, back then. I'm not going to say how far was back then. But you do things differently, and that's another thing that I have learned to do is listen to the generation, because you guys have a voice. And for some reason, for so long, we miss your voice. We're always dictating or telling you, but we fail to listen to you and listen to the wisdom that you have acquired. And it doesn't matter if you're young or not. You can have a lot of wisdom. I have witnessed young generations have a more wisdom than some older people.
Yeah.
But let's start off with the first question.
Okay.
I just wanted to ask you, coming from a young woman's perspective, do you feel people your age and your generation look at relationships such as families, friends, and dating and coworkers? Do you think they come with the respect and the importance that they should when it comes to a relationship?
I think it depends on the person.
Okay.
Some values are more important to different people.
True.
And so I might value family, but someone else might value, time and spending time with someone.
Right.
But I think once that person learns the other person, then their values will mesh and it will create something very beautiful in the end. And so their values will come together and it'll become a priority. It's a priority to spend time with your family as well as being family oriented.
Yeah, but in the just looking in general, I personally don't feel the young generation has much respect as they should for relationships, and I don't think they take it as serious.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah?
I feel like they're more about the fun aspect.
Yeah, we talked about that. It's fun. I want to date. I want to hang out with someone. I want to hold hands, and when they, like you said, when they connect with someone who wants to take this a little more serious, the other person is like, oh, whoa, wait a minute.
Yeah, and I think that's because they don't know how. They don't necessarily know how to
that
take
is
that
true.
person
Because
serious.
no one, well, I'm not going to say no one, a lot of times the parent, they don't really talk in depth about to their children about dating and what that means and how you go about doing it. So I think that's where it fails.
I agree.
And a lot of young generations kind of go for what or go for what they feel or what they think in their mind is a relationship. Am I talking too much?
No, you're perfect. You're right on point.
Just joking. The next question says, do we take the people who we are in relationship for granted? Do we do that a lot?
Yes.
And that goes for any age group. That really doesn't matter. I think we do that a lot because we're so used to...
We're used to our ways. But when you're in a relationship, you have to compromise.
Right.
And I think compromise is a big change that not a lot of people are willing to make at first.
Right.
But once they see that this is a person that they want to spend the rest of their life
then
with
they
or
are
be
more
with
willing.
long term, yes,
Amen.
I agree.
I agree with that, definitely. Next question, would it be a good idea to have young people who desire to date? I really like this one because I want to know, what if we had pre-dating classes like we talked about in junior high, high school, and I remember you mentioned it wouldn't necessarily be a requirement, but if they would like to, what are your thoughts on that?
I agree. I don't think it'll be a requirement, but I do think
It should be offered.
Yeah, it should be offered. Only because I feel like there's a lot of information that we should know. I would say I've learned a lot in my relationship, because there's some things that I went in not knowing about. You know, you have to learn how
you learn
to
on your way, huh?
Yeah, you have to learn the other person a lot.
That is so key. We need to study the other person. You need to know what they like, not just what's your favorite movie, what's your favorite song. But I need to study you so I'll know how to approach you. I need to study you so I'll know how I can talk to you or what bothers you or what affects you, what makes you more emotional, because we're all different, created differently. We're different creatures and we come from different backgrounds. Like we talked about, we have different morals and values. We have different beliefs, or what I've seen growing up also. Can also determine how I'm going to react in a relationship with someone else is very important. So we need to bring that to the table. Well, you don't do this the way I do this, so let's meet in the middle. So to me, the main thing is communication.
Yes, that is key.
But before we get into that, we are going to take a little small break, and then we'll be right back. Thank you for coming back. I hope you enjoyed that little short break. But now we're going to pick up where we left off, and we started talking about communication in the relationship. So I wanted to ask Marquette, why do you feel people are not able to communicate effectively?
I feel like it stems from growing up. I know personally from my perspective, growing up, I held a lot of stuff inside. And so when you get with someone that wants to talk and wants to communicate and wants to talk about the issues at hand, it's like, okay, well, if I open up, how is that person going to take it and things like that. But I think the important thing about opening up is once you open up, it's easier to find a solution. Speaking effectively and telling your significant other exactly what you want and how to make you happy and expressing yourself, I think that'll make communication really well in the relationship.
I feel that it doesn't go off effectively, like stemming from what you said, we're too quick to talk. We did not think about what we want to say, how we want to say it, to address the issue, to make sure it comes across to that person where they really understand what we're trying to say. So I think, and I've tried my best to learn to be careful of what I'm saying. Even while talking, if that didn't go right and I'm looking like, okay, I don't think they quite understood what I'm trying to say, let me start over, let me gather my words and make sure, because I think that's the problem. We're quick to say it. We didn't think about it before we came to them. And I think that is important. Before you go and talk to them, basically, yes, always pray about it. And then take your time to think about the exact words that are going to help you to communicate effectively.
And one thing that I know I've learned from personal experience, words are something that if you say the wrong thing, you can't take it back. It'll mess up something really good right then and there. And you will be apologizing for it.
That is so important because when you're ineffective, you can cause an argument. Right? You're so true about that, using the wrong words. And so God does not call us to confusion. God wants us to operate in peace. So one of the tools and resources that you can take from this, if you do need to speak to someone or talk to whoever you are involved in a relationship with, and this goes across the board, it doesn't have to be dating. It could be family members, children, to make sure that you do talk effectively. But while you're talking and it seems like you're not getting across what you want and it's the heat of the moment and you're getting a little riled up, stop it.
Take a break, Take
stop
a break.
it. If not the same day, wait till everyone calms down, come back to it the next day. If the next day doesn't feel right, you don't have to necessarily rush, but you do want to make sure you touch bases and go back with that. And definitely pray. I'm sorry. Prayer is going to help you, because you will be able to listen to God and He will tell you when to go, how to go, and what kind of personality to have along with that.
And it's something as simple as, asking God to give you the right words to be able to express exactly how you feel in the right way when you come across that person.
Amen. Sorry, that was coffee break. My next question to you is, why do people date? Why do we don't just come together and say, let's just have a commitment? Why is there a process where we have to establish, let's date first?
So I believe people date to get to know someone. They get to know the small things about that person. Like, okay, well, what do you like to eat? Because, usually the first date is a restaurant. So they ask, what do you like to eat? Where do you like to go? what do you like to do? That's the main 3 questions.
Starting
that
from
you
the
ask.
basics and leading up to what?
And that
the
leads
more
up,
important stuff.
In our generation, we call that the talking stage. We're talking to that person.
Okay.
And then after we talk to that person, I say getting to know them.
So you're saying you don't say the word date?
No. No.
I've learned something new.
So that's the talking stage. That's like that person is interested in you, but at the same time, they're not gonna stop dealing with the other people that they're dealing with. Now, when
so they may be involved in another relationship?
Not a relationship, but
talking to other people.
Talking to other people. But then when they get to the dating stage, that's like, okay, well, I've chosen this one.
So we had the talking stage.
Yeah,
then
the dating stage.
I did not know this. See, I told you I could learn something new from you. Okay.
Yes. So then we have the dating stage. That's when you know that this is a person that you like. This is a person that you actually want to give your time to.
A little more long term.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So that's when you start taking this person out on nicer dates.
Yeah.
You start actually, spoiling this person, buying this person things, and spending more time, talking on the phone.
Right.
Texting. We do a lot of texting in our generation.
That's what I was gonna ask. That was one of my questions. What does the new generation do now? Because when I was growing up, and I'm not that old, but we did not have cell phones, and we didn't have Snapchat, and we didn't have anything dealing with a computer where we actually communicated with people. So we talked a lot on the phone.
Yes.
So I was wondering, did your generation still do that, or do you not constantly talk on the phone?
I think it's 50-50.
Really?
Our generation mainly texts during the day, and we talk on the phone at night.
What's the other thing? FaceTime.
We FaceTime, yes.
That's your thing versus what we did. We had the phone, actual phone. Y'all FaceTime
yes,
now.
Yes, we FaceTime.
Okay. So my take on dating, and to me, we go into a little more depth when it comes to dating. When you meet that person, we learn to ask questions about your background, your family history, how did y'all do things in your home, how was your mother and father's relationship, to find out more about that person, to give you an idea of who you're involved with.
Yes.
So, we go in a little depth. We learn to listen to people, how they react. Are they quick to fly off the handle?
Yes.
How do they handle pressure? Or do they react differently than you do? And all of those things are very, very important. And I say that, and I'm glad I came to that, because we were reading the book of Colossians.
Yes.
And if you have time, you can turn to the book of Colossians. I'm going to chapter 3, and I'm going to start at verse 8. And it says, "But now you must also rid yourselves of all such things as these: anger, rage, malice, slander, and filthy language from your lips. Do not lie to each other, since you have taken off the old self with its practices and have put on the new self." And so those things are key, because, like we were talking about relationships, I don't think there's anyone who says, you know what, I'll take a dysfunctional relationship.
Yes.
I don't mind us being angry or mad at each other. I think everyone desires to have a relationship where there's peace, but we have to learn how to do that.
Yes.
Because when we are coming together in relationships, we're coming from different backgrounds.
And there is a process.
That person might be quick to get angry. That person might come and use, curse words or filthy language that you don't like. And all those things damage a relationship, and it does not help the relationship to go further. So that starts with the word of, taking off the old self and putting on the new self in your long-term relationship. Is dating fun, or is more fun, or is it more hard work? Which one?
I would say dating is more fun.
Okay.
Because dating is the stage before you get to the actual commitment.
And then you start the hard work.
Yes. So once
so
you're
in the beginning,
yes.
everybody's having fun.
Yes, everyone's having fun, going out. Our generation loves to party.
Yeah.
So going out to parties, hanging out. But once you, say, hey, I want to commit to you. I want to be in a relationship with you. That's when the work begins.
I was going to say, does that scare a lot of guys off?
Yes, I think it does, because some guys,
Because most women are doing what? We talked about that question.
Most women
What are we planning already?
We are looking for the ring.
And the marriage and the two-story house. So in your mind, you're already planning the wedding and everything, and the guy is like, what movie we going to see next?
The guys live in the now versus the women, we live
looking
in the future. So I think as women, we have to kind of set ourselves back when we first start talking to a guy and dating a guy. We can't talk about the future because they're not necessarily ready to discuss that.
So there comes that communication.
Yes.
Where are we now? I think that is so important too. Every now and then in the relationship, have your meeting times where we need to talk serious. Let's see where we are now. We were at this level. Well, what level are we going to now?
Yes.
And I think I talked to you about that. We used to back in the day. If we did, or if the guy felt like, okay, I want to be a little more serious with you, the girl would get a promise ring.
Yes.
And that was for every guy to see, like, don't mess with her, that's my lady. But how do y'all distinguish that now? Like, if you're going to take this a little more serious in dating, do you sit down and talk about it, or it's just something that you just mutual come to an agreement, or how do y'all do that?
So personally, I still do believe in promise rings. I actually have
She
one.
letting you know that.
I do believe in them, and I have one. It's getting cleaned right now, so it's not on my finger. But I am off the market.
Oh, cool. So y'all do still do the
we
promise
do
ring or
still
something that
rings.
signifies that.
Yes, I know. As a man close to me, my brother, he gave his fiance a promise ring, and now she has an actual ring on her finger.
Wow.
So
and see how
works.
you did that? Because you see that was your morals and your values of what you saw.
Growing
and
up,
if your brother wouldn't have done that, you wouldn't have looked at your partner as, okay, as something, okay, you should be doing that.
Yes.
That probably wouldn't have really crossed your mind.
Yes.
So I feel too that it's important to have someone to look up to know what does a healthy relationship look like, and how does a guy supposed to treat me, or how is a woman supposed to treat me, which I need to add that we always need to have something to measure up to whenever we're involved in relationships, which that's going to be God's word. Every time, you will never fail. You're not going to be perfect, but God wants you to dig into that word and find out what that means so that your relationship can be blessed, can be strong, and can be healthy if we stick to that word. My other question is, have you dated a lot since you've been old enough to date, or you haven't had that many relationships? Or
that's an interesting question. No.
Good.
I'm 24, but I have not dated a lot.
That's good. I like to hear that.
I've only had 3 boyfriends.
Oh, good girl.
And I didn't officially started dating until I was in high school.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to say I wasn't serious, but I wasn't focused on bringing
So you said your first real relationship was in high school?
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
And I didn't focus on bringing that person into my future necessarily, because after high school you go so many ways. I'm going to college here, you're going to college there.
Right.
My goal was, if I wanted something long term, to find that person in college with me, which is where I met my boyfriend.
Oh, good.
And to build a future from there.
Okay,
And
awesome.
so
I think too that, of course you can't always stop it, because in junior high school is where they start really, really dating. And you necessarily can't stop people who are around each other all the time. They're going to acquire some feelings for someone, and they start liking that person and dating. But in high school and junior high, Some of them take it so seriously that they stress out.
Yeah.
They stress out, they're depressed,
Yeah.
and it becomes too serious. And that's why some people need to just, like we said, I think we mentioned it, just take it slow.
Yes.
Have fun. You know, we're not married. You know, we're just hanging out. You know, maybe this could be long term. If it's not, it's okay. But people don't know how to guard their heart, and they long. You know, humans long for attention, love,
Yes.
and enjoyment with the other person. And that's why I feel like we should have the pre-dating classes in junior high and high school, because it's so sad to say, but a lot of kids commit suicide behind somebody, or they end up physically hurting the other person because they can't accept the breakup. It's hard for them to accept the breakup, and I know you probably have learned that in psychology class, but I would love some kind of way for to be on a board where we can start implementing that. It would cut down on a lot of people harming themselves or harming others because they don't know.
They don't know. And I think it's really important to have a friendship in your relationship. Like,
definitely.
You should definitely, most of the time, before you start dating someone, you go into being friends with them first.
Yeah.
And then you learn what that person likes, what that person doesn't like. And then eventually your friendship stage might turn into something more, which is dating. And then at that point you start learning more in depth what that person likes to do and how that person likes certain things.
Yeah.
But having a friendship is very much key.
Yeah, being friends.
Yes.
And that comes with learning the person.
Yes, learning, like we said, studying them.
The person. Be yourself, of course. Don't try to be nothing to no one that you're not. But I think just breathe and enjoy the moment and listen, and that's where you build your love more and more as well. The next question I wanted to ask you: what are some key things that you have learned from dating that you can specifically give to our viewers who are listening that will help them if they are desiring to have a relationship or they are in a relationship? Is there one key thing or two that you can give them that you have learned in your relationship?
Yes, so I have two things. One, I would say love wholeheartedly.
That's a good word. I am so glad you said that.
As well as being able to accept criticism.
That's a good one. That is a good one. So even though you might be getting slapped upside the head and they're telling the truth, you're going to have to learn to sit there and accept and be open to hear what they're saying, because that will also bless your relationship.
Yes.
If someone, a lot of times the other person can see what you cannot see within yourself.
Yes.
And so that's where we become friends and partners at. I'm here to help you to see. You may not see what you're doing, but listen to what I'm saying.
Yes.
Evaluate yourself, even if you don't want to agree with me right now.
Yes.
At least evaluate and pay attention to see, are you really
and that's
doing
where
those things.
That's where the conversation comes in, where you're communicating effectively.
Effectively is key.
And you're being open about how you feel.
Yes.
And you're letting them know, hey, this is, I want to speak with you about this particular event. This is how I feel. And then it's always okay to ask that person, well, how do you feel about it?
Yeah.
What is your outtake on this situation?
Yeah.
And have a communication that's very easy and broad, back and forth, instead of, yelling and screaming at each other.
I think that is important. And the other thing that I wanted to add to that is that, when we are talking and dealing with each other, that listening part is so important. Not just listening to, because a lot of times what we do is, and I used to do this, I'm listening to you, but I'm listening and being quiet because I need to hurry up and say what I want to say. But I did not truly listen to what you were saying to consider your feelings and how you felt about something. So effective listening is key also in a relationship. And if you can't remember, take it one thing at a time.
Yeah.
Don't overwhelm yourself or the person. Start with, if it's a list of things you need to talk about, don't give that person that list of things. Break it up.
Yes.
Let's talk about this, unless they are up for it.
Yeah.
And that goes with knowing the person and asking them, like you said, do you want to continue on, or you want to pick this up tomorrow?
Yes.
Because we can, overwhelm people, because the mind can be an overload. You need to refresh, come back, and that'll bring more respect to the relationship. But you said something that I wanted to talk about. You said love.
Yes.
That is the ultimate thing in the relationship.
Yes.
Because love, God tells us love will cover a multitude of sin. When you love, it'll help you to work out everything that you're dealing with.
Yes.
And since you said that, I'm going to take you to 1 Corinthians chapter 13, starting at the 4th verse. And it says, love is patient. We got to have patience. Love is kind. We want to be kind and considerate. It does not envy. Now, that is something you got to be careful with. Jealousy in a relationship can spring up. And that's a word you don't hear people talking about a lot, but it is so key. It is there. And we should not ignore it. The opposite sex or people in any type of relationship can become jealous. And we need to make sure we get rid of that, because we are a team. Like you said, we're friends.
And that's where clarity comes in.
Yeah, we're friends. I'm not here to overpower you. I'm not in a competition with you. What I have, you have.
We do it together.
We do it together. We build each other up.
Yes.
And then it says, it does not boast. So we don't want to boast or brag about anything in the relationship. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. And I think relationships do a lot of that. Well, you did this, and tit for tat, and that will totally mess up your relationship. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices in the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, and always perseveres. I love that. You keep on going no matter what. Love doesn't give up so easily. It no matter what comes your way, it wants to work at it. And because God is love, and he expressed his love like no one would ever express their love the way God expressed his love for us. And there's nobody on earth who's going to be willing to give their child up to save all types of nationalities, because you want to show them that love by giving up your own son to die. And so God honors love. God is love. He loved us. He wants us to love back. Did you want to comment on that? Because I had something else too when you're done.
Yes, that's why you might hear a lot of people say, when you love someone, make sure that you truly love them. Don't just throw the word around and say, I love you, if you don't mean it, because that word has so much power behind it that when you say I love you, that's taking over someone's heart. They believe everything that you say. That's the soul of it. That word is what bonds people together.
Right. That is a great it was something in here I wanted to ask you about or tell you, and it was from Science Alert. Did you get a chance to look at that?
I did not.
That's okay. But it was coming from sciencealert.com, and what it basically said, I thought I had wrote it down here. It was basically saying that when you're falling and it tells you to find a knot, like if you're on a rope and you're slipping through that rope, it was basically telling you find a knot to stop you so that you won't make the mistake of losing something that was worth holding on to. So look for the knot. If you feel like you're falling, your relationship is falling, a lot of times people are so quick to give up. Still, the divorce rate is so high. It's ridiculous. I work in a place where with children, and majority of the kids there do not have the mom and dad together. There's a lot of divorce because we go in it with the mindset, if it don't work out the way I want to, I'm out. But God called us to stay together. God honors unity. God wants us to stick it out no matter what, and to work at it. And if everybody, leaves and fails, who's going to stand and represent and prove to someone else it can work?
And relationships are not supposed to be easy. You're supposed to go through trials and tribulations.
And why?
Because it helps you learn the person, like we've been discussing. You learn people's triggers.
Yeah.
You learn what makes them happy. You learn what makes them cry, what makes them sad. And so in order to learn those things, you have to mess up. But the important thing is, it's not about how much you mess up. It's about what can you do to rebuild from that. And once you learn how to rebuild, you prosper on and you move forward. And that's why the whole goal of a relationship is to get married. And that's why they say until you're necessarily ready, do not make that final step before God to get married.
Because when you stand before God, God didn't say or give you vows that say you can just get a divorce.
Yes.
He meant for it to be forever.
Eternity, yes.
Forever. And so here it says, have you started realizing in your relationship that you have some negative or dysfunctional ways about yourself? Like, it's been 4 years.
Yes.
Did you start let me evaluate myself and let me see what I'm doing?
Yes.
And you found some? Do you care to share?
I will. I have looked myself in the mirror recently, and I realized that, like Miss Angie said, I need to listen more, not be ready to talk, but actually effectively listen to what my significant other is saying and let them express themselves. Men are more masculine than women, so they're expressing feelings that they won't usually express, and it might be a little bit harder for them, but I think I should listen more effectively and to actually take criticism and learn from it.
Amen, definitely. The other thing I wanted to ask you, when there is a problem in the relationship, is it ever good not to talk about it? Because that was my dysfunction. I would shut down and I would get quiet and didn't want to talk for a few days, or I wouldn't address the issue because I thought, because some things that I saw growing up, I didn't want to happen, but I was even making it worse for myself. So I thought, don't talk about it. That helps the relationship. Don't even mention it. Trying to avoid more complication or trying to avoid more arguments.
Yes.
But I had to learn that didn't work either, because it boiled up and it built up, and then when something else happens, then boom.
I'm still learning that. I will say that I have gotten better. Before, I was like Miss Angie said, I was a cocoon. I would shut down and I would stay quiet and I would talk when I want to talk, but it doesn't work like that. So now, if it's something on my mind, I would address my partner and say, hey, can we sit down and can we have a conversation? I am feeling like this. I just want to open up and express this to you. It's not for you to get upset about. I just want to tell you how I feel. And then I would accept the criticism that's given back to me. But I did have to learn, you can't get past something by holding it in. And I always say, now that I'm older, it's not good to go to sleep with bad energy and mad at somebody, because you never know. The next day you wake up, that person might not wake up.
That's so true. That is so true. But yes, I definitely agree with everything you just said. You've shared a lot of things with me that you helped to shed light on some things that I didn't realize, especially with the young generation. So I really appreciate you coming. I really appreciate all of the advice that you have given. And we hope and pray that you guys have learned something. And maybe we'll do a part 2, because I really, really want to reach the younger generation. We always say we lose that generation. They have a voice. We don't always give them that opportunity to speak and talk. And as adults, we always want to talk to them, but we don't want to listen. doesn't necessarily mean that everything that they say is true, but listen where they're coming from, what they're talking about, why are they saying it, or why do they feel that that is right, and then, dialogue with them and let them know that their voice matters. So we really appreciate you sharing your thoughts and just sharing your relationship and what you've learned. And, hats off to you. I applaud you for being committed in your relationship for 4 years. And I pray that your relationship will last even longer, that we'll be able to do like a talk show when you're married and you're the wife and you have a husband. So thank you for tuning in to Twin Souls. Remember, I'm your host, Angela. This is Marquette. Make sure you click that like button and that share button, and we'll see you back soon.
Bye.